Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and get started here. So, my apologies if anybody's watching right now, and it is coming to just a tad bit late. I was a little held up today. Plus, I needed to get something in my stomach before starting this because I was just really tired from today. Today was quite a bit of a hectic day at work. But I am here now, ready to get started on episode 2 of Film Student School. So we're gonna go ahead and continue trucking on and progressing. So let me go ahead and load up my itinerary for today, because in episode 2, I want episode 2 to be titled "Do you need film school?" Because I honestly think that that's a big question that an awful lot of people, especially people who, I mean, let's not beat around the bush, millennials, Gen Z, I think it's called, sometimes ask, because one of the intimidating factors probably out of film school is that sweet cash money that you'll be paying to go to film school. And on top of that, getting out of high school and getting out of college or some kind of community college, you're probably wondering to yourself, like, do I really need to go to another school? Can't I just jump right into the deep end of the film industry? I want to elaborate a little bit on that because I too myself had that question for myself. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Red Killer, hello, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you. Okay, so here I am, Darkspire David, bringing you episode 2 of Film Student School. I have yet to create some kind of intro, some kind of jingle, some kind of logo, at least to present. In fact, something that I really want to do in the future, and you will have to bear with me if you're watching this on playback of some kind, is to have some kind of logo be presented here on the television. But that's in the process. To be quite honestly, producing a logo or creating the actual logo itself is not that hard. It's actually just what kind of design I really want to go with. What do I really want to interpret in that logo? Because it has to be a combination of the stuff that I generally do here in Film Student School, and at the same time stuff that stuff that has to do with film. So there has to be some kind of personality to that logo. So that will have to wait, at least for the foreseeable future. Alright, so I don't want to spend a terrible amount of time on this episode. In fact, I want to almost say this is going to be a little bit of a short one, because episode 1 I always knew was going to be the longest episode, because it's going to be the introductory phase. It's going to be the one where I present myself as to what it is that I love about film, what are my inspirations, what are some of my favorite films, and what the show is going to be all about. Now that we got all those pleasantries out of the way, we can then tackle certain subjects head on, and the subject for episode 2 is whether or not film school is truly required for someone who's interested in the business, whether it be as an actor, as a director, as a producer. For myself, it's mainly writing and directing. So, first little bullet point that I kind of have jotted down here in my little outline for today's episode was going to be my first interest, not just in film, because that's something that I tackled in episode 1, but what were my first interests in film school? Because when I would watch certain behind the scenes stuff, like interviews with directors and writers working on certain films, they would sometimes, and actually, I'm not even going to say sometimes, I'm going to say scarcely. They would scarcely, in passing, like they wouldn't really call too much attention to it, they would, in passing, mention the concept of film school. They would, say it, I think, once or twice when the director, mainly the director, I feel like out of all the people that they would capture in these interviews, it would be the director, the one that he or she, most of the time he, because that's just, how the business is mostly dominated by male, even though I would love to see more female directors, dominate the scene. Hey, Snick Savers, how's it going? Welcome back to the stream. How's it going? So, watching these directors, regardless of who they are, they would often mention films. Well, they would scarcely mention film school, but it would often be the directors more so than any other position that would be interviewed, saying, "Oh yeah, I got into film school at this." Blah, blah, blah. That's to say, if they even went to film school. One of the biggest brand name directors out there. Quentin Tarantino is famous for often in his interviews saying that he never bothered with film school. He never went to film school. He just put the money together and started doing films. And there's plenty of other directors that I'm probably escaping my mind right now at this point, of big name directors that didn't go to film school or didn't go to a school catered to those arts in the traditional sense. But often in these DVD extras, I would see these directors mention film school, and I thought to myself, okay, so there's a film school? What? There's a school just all about film? Oh my god, I want to go. And it piqued my interest, but over time, naturally, you're much more present responsibilities take over that you kind of forget about those things that are very long in the future. So when I first heard about film school, it was like middle schoolish, early high school, and obviously, a red exclamation mark went over my head saying, oh my god, there's a film school, I really want to go there. But then as high school got tougher and tougher and tougher with assignments, with the way society works, social circles, with the way communications worked, it was just, I knew that my main focus was just to try to survive film school. High school. So graduated out of high school, and then that's when it was in senior year that I definitely wanted to express more interest in film school, especially since it was in high school where every year I would get excited to sign up for classes, mainly for the electives. When it came to the main subjects like English, math, etc., the biggest excitement I got out of signing up for those classes is to know if I was going to be in the same period or in the same class as either a girl that I liked or a friend that I had that I thought I was going to be best friends with forever and ever. And obviously that never happens. That you have to know ahead of time. That's never going to happen with high school. I know that sounds like a very Debbie Downer sort of thing to say, but often the best friend you had in high school is not going to be your best friend growing up. Very likely. It's possible that they can, but it's very that they can be, but it's very unlikely. I know it sounds terrible, but that's just the nature of life, And actually, I just have one more question here. Whoa, hello, what's going on here? Darius Stone, have you dressed up as a stereotypical film star? Is this from your own? Have you dressed up as if it's, or is this from your own collection? It's an amalgamation of the two. I feel like, because trust me, when I actually go to film school, I dress up with my stupid, with my random. And by the way, Raquel, thank you for the host on the stream there. Thank you so much. I typically don't dress. This is obviously for show for the stream. When I do actually go to school, sometimes I wear this hat because I just don't feel like doing my hair, especially with us being in quarantine and not being able to get a haircut. I don't feel like doing my hair, so I just wear the hat. Otherwise, I do my hair. When I go to school, I do it for flash. I do it for show. I love dressing up, but when I have to go to school and I have to drive an hour and a half to LA, I'm like, yeah. So Spider-Man t-shirt it is. Spider-Man and t-shirt and jeans. Let's go. That's it. I'm just doing this to cater, to the ambiance of being a digital film student school stream show type of thing. Got to work a little bit more on my wording there. To answer your question, Darius Stone. I do like your name though, Darius Stone. And Snicks, to answer your earlier question, did you finish Final Fantasy VII game? I fell asleep on stream. I did not. I finished the chapter. And without going into any kind of spoilers or details, let's just say that at the end of the chapter, certain characters told me hey, you sure you want to carry on through? Because once we carry on through, we're not going to be able to go back and go through little crevices of things you might have missed or such stuff like that. And that's where I paused it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm banking that the chapter's going to end here, and then the last chapter's actually going to start. I'm probably going to play that last chapter tonight off stream, just so that I can finally wrap that thing up and move forward with my gaming life or whatever the hell that is. Good question here before I tackle the next subject. Do you got any fave indie film and why? Do I have any favorite indie films? I mean, several different films are either shot as a have been shot as a indie film, or they naturally are an indie film. I'm trying to think of any of the top of my head. God. I'm trying to think back to the last 5 years of like really, really good indie films. Cause I'm not going to lie to you. Often indie films, they have that indie thing, whether it be like the music or characters just doing this, and I'm just like, I fucking hate that shit. That's so pretentious. I hate it. Like, oh my god. So I gotta be honest. I'm having a tough time right now coming up with a good. I don't know. Please let me know if this is an independent film. Please let me know. Is Whiplash an independent film? I'm gonna have to look it up because I think that was an indie film. Obviously later on, La La Land got picked up, I think, by 20th Century Fox. Oh no, Lionsgate. Yeah, that was Lionsgate. But is Whiplash an indie film? Because I do not remember there being a big studio name attached to that. But let me check. Let me check. So, do I have a distribution section? Box office. Production company, Bold Films, Blumhouse Productions. It was a Blumhouse film. Yeah, we're still kind of in that gray area, aren't we? Because Blumhouse is a studio, but at the time, because we have to think about it being 2014. That was 2014 when that movie came out. Blumhouse was not the name that it was today. I'm gonna tell you right now. If we're talking indie films, and if it's classified as an indie film, Whiplash. One of my not even one of my favorite movies of the last decade. It's probably one of my favorite movies of all time. It has that rewatchability that it's on. I'm gonna watch it. The stream is brought to you by Coke. No, it's not. It's not. Have you got a show reel? Shamefully, I don't. And I'll tell you why. Not because okay, I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. I just haven't shot enough to put together a reel. Off the top of my head, I know, like, if you go on my YouTube channel, I know that there's a little short that I made on one of the sets we have at school called The Pub. And the short is called The Pub. The set is also called The Pub, but I just called the short The Pub because I really could not think of a fucking title for it. So I made a short called The Pub. It's like 2-3 minutes long or something like that. I posted it on my YouTube channel. You might be able to search it up. So I got that on my YouTube. There was one other that I shot near one of the places that I used to work at, one of my local wing stops that I worked at. You know what? Yeah, you're at, let me see if I can find a link. Real fast. Yeah, so I just haven't shot enough to put together a reel. I feel like if maybe I get 1 or 2 more shorts, I just don't feel confident in myself to put together a reel just now. I feel like if I shoot, like I said, 1 or 2 other things, I'll get it. The Pub short film. Ooh, there you go, number 2. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest once more. Out of all the things that I've shot, this is probably the one I'm probably the most proud of, quote unquote, only because of I really like the lighting in that set. That I was like, fuck lighting. Let's just come up with our good setups for the camera, and let me work on the actors and the momentum more than anything else. Because more often than not, you work on the actors, you work on the story, you work on the back and forth. That's going to carry the short film. And on your audio. I really wanted to make sure that the audio was good. Alright, so I copied the link. Rat Killer has an indie film question. Indie film question, have you heard in any trauma movies like the Toxic Avenger? I have. I haven't watched any personally. I've seen trailers, and I gotta be honest, these just don't appeal to me. I was just like, okay, trauma films. I know that they have a place in pop culture to a degree, but it's not on my priority list when it comes to like big movies that or a genre of films that I need to dive into. So I went ahead and I put the link in the chat if you want to check that out, Darius. How can it be a film student and I have a link in the description? To be quite honest, I didn't think that anyone was going to ask for any of my short films in the links. But like I said, I gotta get at least one or two more shorts. Even small little bits, like 2-3 minute short films and montage together. And I'm pretty sure I could come up with like a good 5 minute thing to put as like a Oh, it has a timestamp. Shit. Let me do it again. Is that intentional or a fuck up? It was a fuck up. Alright. I reposted the link only without the timestamp. Because I just hit Control All on the link and then pasted that. Ah, it crossed 1,000 views. Look at that. Okay. Yeah, but I was. So, one of the things that I started to realize at the end of high school that was then raising my level of awareness to the concept of film school is that my high school, like I said, I was signing up for classes, and when it came to the normal subjects, I would only be interested in that if I was sharing a class with, again, a crush or one of my best friends or one of my good friends at the time. When it came to electives, that's where the subjects were really interesting to me, because I'm like, there could be computer animation, there could be a different language I could learn. And then over time, I was like, please let there be some kind of movie or video production type of class. The farthest or the closest we've ever gotten to something like that in high school by the time I graduated was a production class that was set to cover. It was pretty much like a news outlet for the school to broadcast every morning, or at least once every week during the morning. I can't remember which day of the week it was, but it was a production, and it was very low tier. Like, no offense to him, but I had a teacher who, he genuinely wanted to have fun within the concept of the class in terms of production and all that stuff, but his heart was not 100% in there. And I could kind of tell. Like, he was, even when I was in 11th or 12th grade, I was just like, you don't give a shit, do you? I was a little too shy at the time to actually confront him and be like, do you care about this stuff? But his body language was very, very present on that. So that's as far as it got with high school. And I graduated, and it wasn't until recently that I think I heard that they added some movie-related or film-related electives, and as well as a swimming pool on campus. Yeah, that pissed me off. that stuff was kind of pissing me off. Okay, I love how trauma movies don't really hide their effects. Oh yeah, like I said, I've seen enough scenes to be like, yeah, there's no shame behind them. And the way they shoot their movies on a super low budget. And yeah, that's the commendable stuff, is that, yeah, they're bad movies, but they're movies. They were made. They actually existed. You actually got that shit done. So that's the thing. Every time I write something, I always get self-conscious about the quality, and I never really assume myself, put myself in some kind of tier when it comes to my quality. The only thing that I genuinely feel proud of, and I never think twice about, is the fact that I wrote something. Thank God I can actually say I wrote something, even if it's not good. I wrote something. And also, a little quirk of mine is that whenever I write a script, whether it be for a short film or a feature, I have to print it out. I know. It's not exactly friendly toward the environment, but there's something therapeutic and stimulating about the fact that I can write a script, print it out, and I can actually hold it in my hand and be like, title page by David Ortega, flip to the pages, and we got scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. Knowing that it's concrete is just like, wow. That's one of the most satisfactory things to me in life, especially from a professional standpoint. So that was high school. Then jumping over to community college, because at that point I knew that I couldn't go directly to film school, because one of the plans that I was advised by either guidance counselors in high school, some of my parents, some of my peers, was that in film school, I can't remember how I found this out. It was something, something let me know that general ed needs to get done no matter what. Even if you go to film school, they're gonna make you do some general ed. So they're gonna have their English classes, they're gonna have their history, their art, that don't pertain to film. Like you're gonna have to do legit stuff that you would otherwise have done in a separate campus. So finding that out ahead of time, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna go to my local community college that doesn't take an hour and a half to get to. It still took like a half an hour to drive to and from, so I need to plan accordingly. And I told myself I'm gonna get my associate's degree here, and it's gonna be in English. It's gonna be in fine arts slash English. That way I get all the general ed stuff out of the way, so that when I do go to film school, it's just gonna be all film. Plus, the backup safety net that you can kind of have for yourself here is that theoretically, and I strictly have to say purely theoretically, if things don't work out with the film industry, with the film career, you have an associate's degree. That's better than nothing. That's the best thing I can say, is that it's better than nothing. I'm not saying it's the best thing because, you know, America today, or the world today in general, is very cutthroat, and in certain divisions of that world, an associate's degree is literally nothing more than a piece of paper. But then in other areas, it could, you know, get you a job somewhere, even if that job is not exactly the one that you had intended. So at least you'll have some backup to earn a little bit of money, so that in the event that you decide to skip out on film school, but you want to be able to put together your own thing, guerrilla style, indie style, then at least you have a pocket of money to start things off of. I'm a little parched. You should write a trauma flick. Who knows? I might have to. A director I'm actually studying right now for class is Francis Ford Coppola. We're doing, so basically I'm taking a history class, but the subject of the history is literally Coppola, and I was very, very surprised. I did not know this. This caught me off guard. Everybody knows Coppola as the guy who did The Godfather, the trilogy, Apocalypse Now, Dracula. But prior to Godfather in '72, during the '60s, he did an awful lot of like raunchy, campy stuff. There was one particular movie that I had to watch for my class called Dementia 13. It's a black and white film. In fact, if you want to watch it, go on YouTube. It's on YouTube, the entire movie, and it's a very short film. It's literally, it even barely even qualifies as a film. It's an hour and 17 minutes. So it's on YouTube. It's black and white. It's indie made, very crudely put together, because it's not only an independent budget, it's an independent budget in the 60s, like 63, I think it's when it came out, 62, 63, somewhere around there. But the funny thing is that it's campy and cheesy, but it's never bad. I don't know why, but I can't bring myself to say that it's bad. But it does have cheesy campiness factors to the way it tries to twist its story, to the way and it's a horror film. And there's times where the horror elements are a little over the top, where the music gets a little too loud, a little too like, oh my god, and the reactions are a little too, oh my god, like that. But I can never bring myself to say that it's bad. It's campy and it's cheesy, but it's never bad, because Coppola had to start somewhere, and the genre that he started on was actually horror. So I noticed from some people that I have a tough time saying horror because it sounds like I'm saying horror. So my apologies. It's probably like my very, very, very mild, slight accent from knowing Spanish firsthand when I was a kid, and then English being my second language. So yeah, he started with horror, and it would only be until Dracula that he would kind of circle back the genre. So it's not exactly nothing new for him when he did Dracula. So that was pretty interesting. So who knows? You know, in order to get your foot in the door, you sometimes have to start off with things that you may not be the most proud of, but you try to make work. You know, James Cameron. I think either his first film or his second film. I think it was actually his first film, Piranha 2. Flight of the Spawn, or whatever the fucking subtitle was called. I can't remember what the subtitle was, but A movie that even he didn't finish. I think he got fired like 2/3 of the way through, something like that, and somebody else had to finish it. I can't remember the full story, but that was his start. That was his start. And it was during a bout of food poisoning that he had while filming Piranha 2 that he had a dream, apparently like a fever dream, where he saw a metallic skeleton coming towards him with a gun. Yeah, we all know where that led to, right? Let's see. I watched your film. How do you deal with the actors when one is clearly far superior to the other? Yeah, okay. You know how I deal with those actors is when one of them failed to show up and you have to jump in. Due to time constraints. I'm certain you're referring to the other gentleman, Johnny Birchtold, I believe his name was. Um, yeah. I mean, whenever I've directed actors so far in the 2-3 shorts that I've made is trying to be. I never thought it was useful to not be collaborative. If that makes any sense. Basically, I always feel the need to be collaborative, cause, well, first of all, I don't want to take all the blame, but secondly, it's all in favor of the short. It's all in favor of the element of the product. Even if the idea doesn't come from me, I know for a fact that it's like, yeah, I have to allow people to speak, whether it be from the actor, the sound person, whoever. Like, if they come up with an idea, I'll be like, yeah, let's do this. What in the hell? Okay. Give me 1 second. How do I do this? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to do a little something here. Trying to here we go. Let's do that for the time being. Cause I suspect that's not fully legit what I'm seeing here. Oh, what the hell? What happened to my chat? What the hell happened to my chat? Oh, here we go. At least I think I. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. I popped something up and now it's not letting me get rid of it. I can't see my I can't see. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. Okay, that was weird. Oh, was that what? There he is. That's dedication to look through just chatting for someone who looks Jewish. Wow. Wow. That's you might have something there, yeah. That's probably what was going on there. Which is funny because he followed. Assuming it's a he. I don't even know if it's even a person. It might have been a bot. 4 messages were deleted by moderator. Yeah, I was trying to delete the messages because I timed him out for 10 minutes, but how do I delete messages? Because I tried clicking. How do I fucking... I don't know. The fact of the matter is he's gone. You know what's funny? This is actually a little bit trimmed right now, but if I let it grow long like I did, I think, like it was practically 2-3 weeks ago, because we were all in quarantine and frankly I was getting kind of lazy. It does look like a Jewish beard. It really does. I would have looked much more Jewish on screen if I hadn't trimmed by now, because this would have been like, but it never looks full. You know what I mean? Like it never looks like a full-on beard. It looks. Well, it looks rather pubic. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, man. That was hilarious. So, I did, in fact, get my associate's degree. in community college. And in college, I had a similar situation. Well, in community college, rather, here in my local town, the Victor Valley College. It was a similar situation with high school where they didn't have a film division, they didn't have a film degree. Which is why I settled with the English Fine Arts Associates. But they did have a film study class, and essentially it was like it sounds. It was basically a class where this teacher who loved film, he would teach about film. He would show movies over the course of decades, point out their cultural significance, their importance, quiz us, have us write papers on it. I saw some other students struggle with it, and I was one of the biggest nerds in that fucking class because I would always turn in my assignment on time. I would be the first one to be like, bam, 5-page paper on this one thing. Needless to say, yes, I got an A in the class, but of course, it was never a hands-on class, and that was literally the only film-related class that was offered for years. Because I took this class either in my first or second year of community college, and I was at community college for 4 years, the general 4-year term. The second, third, and fourth year went by, and I would check the curriculum, and that class was still there, but that was the only film-related class. And then just like high school, just like fucking high school, I found out, I think it was last year, because I graduated from community college with my associates in 2013. Yeah, 2013. It was in either 2016 or 2017, so it wasn't even last year. I think it was like 2016, 2017, maybe 2018-ish. Someone, I can't remember who it was, someone within my close circle of peers told me that they actually did. Whoa. Did it freeze? No, wow, that's a perfect frame. Oh my god, I think I know what happened. Yeah, it's my webcam plug. I don't know why it's a little finicky. So let me adjust it. Deactivate, reactivate. And there I am again. So the stream didn't freeze. It was the webcam. Sadly, I think this means I might need a new webcam, because I think there's a faulty thing with my plug, the USB plug, and I don't think I got warranty on this shit, so I might have to do that. There we go. Let's punch in a little bit for cohesiveness. Okay. Alright, so hopefully the webcam is back to normal. Actually, the frame rate's a little weird. Your stream is frozen, audio only. Alright, yeah. Yeah. But that was a funny frame that it freezed on. I was like, that should be the thumbnail. That's definitely going to be the thumbnail. Actually, you know what? The frame rate's fine. Actually, it looks pretty cinematic. Let's see. Do you have to study any aspects of screenwriting for your course? Are you talking about my current course right now in film school, or the one in the narrative that I was talking about in community college? I'm pretty sure you're talking about the one that I'm currently in. Truth be current, yeah. Okay, so my emphasis right now in film school is directing. The reason why, so screenwriting 1 needs to be taken to get, their interpretation is that they want you to really nail the 3-act structure and sometimes 4-act structure of how a script needs to be written, and also, if you're a director, how to read the script and how to look for certain things on the page to be like, okay, this is like, and what not to have on the script if you're planning on directing it, just for a communication purpose, so that actors have a better time reading the script, so that producers have a better time reading the script, so that executives have an easy time reading those first 5 pages when you pitch. That's mainly why they want you to take that first one. It's on the second one, screenwriting 2 and script analysis. Those are classes that are better suited. They're highly recommended, but they're not 100% required for a directing emphasis. Screenwriting emphasis, definitely. But they're very encouraged if you're planning on being like some kind of auteur type of filmmaker, where you're planning on to direct. your own material, the material that you write, like Tarantino and Nolan and several others. As do you feel handicapped by the scripts if you want to be a director? Which scripts? The which scripts that I write or scripts that are provided to me? Oh, the little anecdote that I was gonna say is that it was in 2017, 2018ish or so, where someone in my circle told me that they added more film related classes, like hands on go out and shoot classes at my community college 4 to 5 goddamn years after I had already graduated. Why do they keep doing this? Why? Whatever. I mean, it's rhetorical. I get it. Budget, funding, you probably got more of it. Equipment's cheaper. So annoying. But hey, this is where we segue into my search for the perfect film school, which is probably something that an awful lot of folks that are thinking about going to film school are also troubled by. Which film school do I go to? I have decided that I'm going to go to film school. Where do I go to, and what was my fork in the road deciding on which film school to go to? You say, Darius Stone, you say either. No. From what I've heard, other directors, whether it be my peers in class, or even professionals. Right now I'm watching Ron Howard's masterclass, and then prior to him, I watched Aaron Sorkin's masterclass, and before that, Martin Scorsese's masterclass. And one universal idea, almost across the board, whether it be with the two directors or even the one screenwriter in there, was in the three that I just mentioned, was that the script, and what I'm about to say is actually starting to become a little tropish, a little okay, you mentioned that, you probably heard this many times. Had to finish it before it gets flat. Is that the script is always just a blueprint for the film. So to kind of go to your statement, Darius, a director should never feel handicapped by the script. The script is a guidance. The script is a guide. The script is a blueprint. Floor map of where the film needs to be, what it has to say, what message it's trying to deliver. Scripts are constantly changing from being written to showing up in the theater, for better or for worse. Either side of the spectrum, it's going to happen. And that's where the collaboration comes into play. And that's why I really want to be collaborative, because sometimes some things just don't work on script. they don't. And then it's right when you get to the set where you think to yourself, this is not working. How about we try this other thing? And, you just can't be anal about it. I know that, there's some directors that work with being anal that say, hey, this is how I want it to be. This is how it's going to be. And, it really depends on where you are in your career to be able to dictate that. If you're just starting out, if this is your first film ever, you're going to be a major idiot trying to demand your vision be the only exclusive thing that you see on screen. Because trust me, those executives are going to come in and be like, bye. At least nowadays, especially with so much money up for grabs. As soon as the industry kind of starts up again, because I know it's kind of technically frozen right now, which is rather sad, both from the movie making perspective and the movie theater perspective. That's a humongous bummer. So me personally, I'm gonna tell you right now, every short that I've shot has been from a script that I've written, but I would genuinely love to direct a short from a script that somebody else has written. Because I think everybody needs to do that. I think almost everybody who plans to be a director needs to do both at some point. Not even with film, just starting out with like short films. One that you've written and then one that you did not write, so you can get a flavor for both. And then you'll find out, I like to direct my own material, or I don't like to write my own material, or I like to direct other people's material better, and have that collaborative process. And, look at something and be like, I never would have thought of this. Now, how can I think of it from, how can I look at every scene from this angle, from this angle, from that. Where can I put the camera here? What can I do like that? Because when you're writing your own material, you're already, at least when I write my own material that I'm thinking about directing, I'm already, as I write, I'm literally seeing the shots in my head. Getting like Twitch alerts. I'm seeing the shots in my head as I'm writing. I'm like, yeah, that's how it's gonna be. When someone brings the script to me, I gotta read the script as, like its own story. Like if somebody else had made the film already in my head, and then from that point forward, it's like, okay, now if I'm being tasked to direct it, how would I, whatever I saw in my head, how would I go about that? So yeah, I really really want to do both. I'm hoping that once we open, once the world is not shut down, because right now, I'm not gonna lie, with the quarantine did put a hindrance a little bit on actual production work. Needless to say, um, and it's what the fuck. Sorry, it's another alert. Oh, because the timeout was lifted. Whatever. Um, yeah, right there in the chat. Yeah, but yeah, I would love it if we're able to get back to work. I'm able to get back on campus. I would love to take a class where somebody provides me the script and I can write and I can direct that script and work with that person, to bring whatever that is to the screen in a way where I'm like, okay, I didn't write this material. It's foreign to me, but what can I build on it? It's I don't know. I just love it. What sort of genres would you be most interested in? I mean, I know this is a very, very much cop out, but I want to give my shot at all of them, um, as much as possible to know where my strengths lie. I would probably say the one I would have the toughest. Yeah, 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 yeah. The one I would probably have the toughest time with could be sci-fi, only because it'll be hard to not emulate science fiction that I've grew up with or science fantasy. Anything from the archetypal Star Wars, Star Trek type of debacle, or some more introspective stuff. Like one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time. Um, that I gotta be honest. Now, 11 years later, it's like not a whole lot of people talk about this movie. When people do talk about it, they talk about it in great droves. But I just don't hear it being referenced a lot. I don't know why. I thought it would take off more, but it's District 9. District 9 is one of my favorite sci-fi films. So the reason why I feel like I would struggle is only because, like I said, I how do I not copy something else? I feel like that's the one where I'll have the toughest time trying not to copy or emulate anything else that I've already watched. Okay, now Darius, I'm so glad that you just said that in chat, because that was the other side of the mirror that I was gonna mention. Is that when it comes to actual hands-on production work on set and stuff like that, can't do it right now due to COVID, and that's the sad part. Is because I would love to be in like a meeting room with a writer and oh my god, he's back. All right, he's done. This cracks me up though. This cracks me up. Shout out to Derek. Is it Derek or Dirk? Dirk? Because it says right. I think that's what it reads there. Oh my god. Oh my god. But Darius, you said due to COVID, I've finally been thinking about trying some script writing. Give us a brief, and I'll try and send you something. All right. No, that's actually the other side. Is that when it comes to more what's the word I'm looking for? Well, not even a word, but maybe the term behind the desk work when it comes to film, most notably screenwriting. Right now, it's perfect. Right now, it's perfect. In fact, I mean, I had to go back to work recently because the company that I work for a time, they made work voluntarily. Voluntary. I said it right. Yeah, voluntary. And then after a certain point, they hit a point where it couldn't be voluntary anymore. Either you have to work or you have to be let go / furloughed. and they hit me up and they said, "Oh yeah, we want to keep you. So we're giving you the option right now. Do you want to come back to work, but you're scheduled and you have to come to work? It's not voluntary, or do you want to take the furlough?" Which is a fancy way of saying, you're let go, you're not gonna get paid, but if we open back up, you'll come back. Which God only knows when that's gonna happen. At this point, I took the job. I was like, I need the money, for future purposes and current purposes. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going back to work. Prior to that, when work was voluntary and I wasn't particularly going, that's where I was like, all this free time that I got now, it's time to start writing. And I actually did start to not. I unfortunately didn't get time to start writing the actual script, but I began writing a treatment for a feature film. That it's mostly a comedy with some dramatic elements, but mostly a comedy, very much a comedy. And I started making that Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 treatment for it. So, Darius, you hit it right on the head right now, is that with the COVID, if you're not able to work, if you're not able to go to school, and you've been seriously thinking about screenwriting, or any kind of other artistical, sort of, I don't want to call it a pastime or a hobby, but some kind of a experience in that sense, whether it be to write a script, write a book, write a comic book, illustrate, animate. I mean, some people love to do stop motion films. Stop motion is all about staying indoors and having the patience and having the time throughout the day to take a screenshot of a figure or a toy or whatever. Take a screenshot, move it. Take a screenshot, move it. It's the perfect time for some sort of stuff like that. And also another reason is why I wanted to create this show here to stream, is because I know that some folks that wanted to go to film school can't go now. They might have just gotten out of high school and they were thinking about going to film school, and now they can't because of the schools being shut down. You can still enroll for online classes, but needless to say, film school is probably one of the biggest ones to get hurt for that, because part of the school is that you're able to go to that campus and get the experience and get all the hands-on stuff. If you take that out, yeah, we could do online seminars all day. We could do online classes all day, Zoom meetings, etc. But all we're doing is just, chatting, and putting it in layman's terms. We're just chatting and we're just discussing, but it's just not the same experience. You know what I mean? And Darius, thank you so much for the follow. I just got your notification there. Much appreciated. So yeah, man, if you want to send me a whisper over on Twitch, I know that's the best way to reach out to someone via Twitch, is send me a whisper. And maybe if you have like a Dropbox and you put your script or whatever it is that you write in the Dropbox, send me a link, and yeah, who knows, man? Who knows? I'll take a gander at it. So let's say that whoever's watching this that was thinking about going to film school has decided, yes, I definitely want to go to film school. Well, why is it that you're going to film school? Because I think that's one of the deciding factors. Because at this point, I was talking about my experiences of what my schools were lacking from when it came to some kind of film class or production class or whatever. Now that I was out of community college, I was like, yes, I can finally go to that focused film school, and I got all of my general stuff out of the way. I don't have to take any of that. Oh my God, I don't have to take any more, math classes, any more English classes, even though I liked English. It was my favorite subject out of all of them. History classes, or at least history classes that have nothing to do with film. It's time to get down. So that's when I started to do all of my orientations. I mean, at this point, for a solid 2 years or so, I was going back and forth between doing orientations for the film schools that were here in Southern California, and then simply just working, because I knew that film school was going to cost a pretty penny. I may or may not move out at which point I ended up not. And I just knew that whichever school I went to, it needed to be a dedicated effort. I wasn't going to go for a year and be like, oh, no, I didn't like it, let me switch. I know that that's just petty at that point. Like, I gotta stick with through with this. So for about 2 years or so, it was nothing but just working for fast food, and then eventually the company that I work with now, and doing these orientations. And there were some schools that I knew I could have done an orientation, but I don't know why I just didn't. I gotta be honest, even I'm perplexed with myself. Like, why didn't I get an orientation for here? So I'll tell you right off the bat, I did orientations for 2 schools, and by orientation I mean, that open house day where you get to go around the campus, the visitor badge, put it on you, sign you up, and then you get to go through the school, go into the different classrooms, talk to different people, get a feel for the ambiance, get a feel for the atmosphere of the campus, etc. And the 2 schools here in particular were of course the Los Angeles Film School, located on Sunset Boulevard, and Columbia College Hollywood, located in Tarzana, California. Tarzana is like on the outskirts of LA, so it's part of the LA County, but it's not LA. You go there, and then within 20 minutes in any direction, you will hit one of the more famous spots of Southern California, whether it be Central LA, Hollywood, the beach. And as I mentioned in episode 1, when you get off the freeway to get to turn on the street that will then turn you into Columbia College Hollywood, right on the freeway exit, there's a rehabilitation center. So you know for a fact that it's Los Angeles. I never get tired of that joke. Darius, what did you say? I mean, recently I've been thinking if it's possible to make a short film about a haunted Twitch stream, as that's basically the only medium available to work in. I think so. Darius. No, okay. I don't know if... I don't think it's an indie film. Or maybe it was an indie film. Darius, have you seen a movie called Searching? If not, check it out. Look it up. I might be on either Netflix or Amazon Prime. I think I saw it on Amazon Prime. It stars John Cho. You might be familiar with John Cho. He played Sulu in the Star Trek movies. Is it about a haunted Skype call? No. That was Unfriended. Unfriended, similar style, similar genre as Searching. Searching is a vastly superior movie because Unfriended, it's a horror movie. You got the teens, but that style of the Skype call, that stuff, they kind of took that medium and then ported it over into a dramatic thriller in Searching. And without getting into too many details, I loved Searching. I finished it. I was like, oh my God. I watched it at home. And one of my biggest praises whenever I watch a movie at home, if the movie's good enough, the first thing I'll say is, why in the hell did I feel terrible for not watching this in theaters? And that was Searching. And thankfully, I watched it right at the end of the year, and it made my top 5 that year. I think it was like number 3 of 2018, I think. It was not 2019. I think it was 2018. Yes, it's the one where he tries to find his daughter. His daughter goes missing, and he uses his phone and her laptop, and like I said, without getting into details, let's just say that certain things come to light where he may or may not have known his daughter all that well as he investigates these things, and it's all told from the point of view of the laptop, his phone, the screens that he uses, the FaceTime chats he has with the police, his brother, his daughter, a private investigator, and oh my God, it's such a great film. So it could be done. It could be done about a haunted Twitch stream. Just don't do like Unfriended, because I heard Unfriended just shit the bed at the end. I haven't seen the movie, but I just heard from people talk about it that they're like, yeah, that ending was weird. But it can work. It can work. Almost anything can work. And right now, something like that could definitely. I would probably just say that since the equipment will probably be obviously on the low budget side because of having to use whatever webcams are available, if you can find webcams, because I know for a fact that shit's selling out quickly right now because of everybody needs one for work from home, school from home. I will definitely tell you right now, your biggest strength to make that sort of story work is your actors, to sell that performance in an atmosphere and ambiance like this, of this webcam facing this way and me being here. So yeah, think about it. And strong writing too. Like, you could, if you're saying it's haunted and you're gonna include like ghosts and stuff like that, that's fine. You just gotta make sure that you write these characters in a way that's gonna sell it. and make sure they're likable. Make sure they're likable, and because one of the best rules, top rules of a horror film is never make me want a character to die, because at that point it's not even a horror; it's a comedy. The horror, the dread comes from a character, from me not wanting a character to die. That's where the dread, that's where the fear comes from, is because I don't want that person to die, but I know that they're gonna get it. That's where the horror comes in. There was something back in the day called Lonely Girl, which I feel might be due a comeback. Huh. Might have to search that out, because to be honest, I don't think I've heard of it. So yeah, those were the two schools that I did orientations for. Um, and yeah, so I'm trying to remember as far back as I can during my tours for those two schools. And my biggest takeaways from the two orientations, from the two open house days that I had for those two film schools, the Los Angeles Film School and then Columbia College Hollywood, was that LA Film School was definitely the more polished school, the more prestigious school, the nicer looking school. It was, of course, the most costliest school. Yeah, both orientations gave me the rundown, gave me the bottom line of how much it would be to go to the school and what are my financial options, whether it be with loans, financial aid through the state, etc., etc. Los Angeles Film School was definitely the costlier one. It was it on Sunset Boulevard or Hollywood Boulevard? One of those two. And it's at the far end, so it's not close to like where the El Capitan Theater is, where the Walk of Fame is. It's a little farther down, so that you don't have to. But even it being farther down, getting parking for it is a bitch. So it's in an area that's super, super crowded, that is very uncontrolled, that makes it very easy to get into a car accident almost any day that you go to. And I mean, that was mainly it. And then we went over to the Columbia College. This one wasn't as, fancy looking as the Los Angeles Film School was. It was cheaper. It wasn't cheap, but it was much cheaper, much more reasonable when it came to expenses and tuition. And the word that I would mention almost immediately when I did enroll into Columbia, spoilers, I enrolled in Columbia, was that it felt very intimate with, how some of the editing rooms were, how some of the acting rooms were, the screenwriting rooms, how what I saw from the teachers teaching their class, it felt a little bit more like, hey, let's all kind of get together here. It wasn't like a teacher at the far end of the room with a big presentation saying this. It didn't feel like that, and I always never liked that about certain colleges that get portrayed in film, where you got a teacher here at the very, very front, and then you got this giant stadium seating classroom, and I'm like, I'm a fucking ant here. Like like I'm just an ant to this teacher. It didn't feel like that. It felt much more like one-on-one, even with the smaller classes. And I'll get to your comments right now in a second, Darius. And so that was, to me, more important than it was obviously, being cheaper, it helped. But that was the biggest thing for me, that I just felt gelled a little bit better with me. So I went with Columbia. I signed up. I transferred over my credits from Victor Valley College. And yeah, they gave me the rundown saying, hey, you did all your general stuff, so we could get you started with these certain film related classes, these beginner tier 1 stuff, so like principles of production, which is basically, if you already have a good firm hand on film and film terminology and what the roles are, some of these classes you get into in your first year, you're gonna be like, I already know all this, but just go with the flow, because now I'm about to get into the biggest thing that you could take advantage from when it comes to film school. And ultimately, this is the one characteristic, the one element that can maybe answer the question for anybody who's watching right now, whether it be you, Darius, or anybody else watching this on playback, either on Twitch or on YouTube, is that a question, I can't answer the question for you when it comes to whether or not you need film school. Only you can. What I can describe to you that could be probably the biggest asset of film school is socializing and networking. Because right off the bat, like I said, that first year, whether it be that first quarter, the first semester, the first 3 quarters, there's going to be classes you're going to be taking where you might think to yourself, like, oh, I already know all this. I already know how to write a script. I already know how to edit. I already know what a cut is or what a transition is, what fade in means. Because trust me, there's some classes where they're like, a fade is when you go from black to, and I'm like, oh God, what have I done? What have I? Well, why am I here? But socializing and networking is gonna be the one thing that film school can offer you that you cannot get anywhere else, regardless of what city you live in. I mean, sure, you can live in LA, and unless you are truly living in LA, which Godspeed right now, or New York, again, Godspeed times two. But if you live outside of those areas, networking and the socially linking with people in your own profession is the biggest asset, the biggest tool you can use in film school. And that's ultimately what's going to dictate whether or not film school is something that you would want to do. Because otherwise, if you know deep down in your heart of hearts that you can get out there and start talking to people right off the bat and go to events, go to premieres and be like, hey, I'm writing this thing, and really sell yourself that way, sure, go ahead. Let's go film school. Start building that money. Start building that repertoire. But there's some stepping stones that should not be forlorn on campus, whether you go with the school that I went to, Columbia College, or you go with Los Angeles Film School. It was a YouTube thing. All right, so Darius, let's see what you said here. It was a YouTube thing in the early 2000s. I don't think YouTube was a thing in the early 2000s, but okay. A vlogger scripted that started off with a normal family vlog, but it went on over 2 years. It became apparent her parents were in a cult and going to sacrifice her. It was similar to the Blair Witch in the fact that it wasn't clear if it was real or fake. Okay, what was it called again? Where did it go? There was something back in the day called Lonely Girl. There you go, Lonely Girl. Let me see if I could YouTube this real fast. Because if it was on YouTube, I mean, you said early 2000s. I'm suspecting maybe mid 2000s because that's when YouTube got launched. I think 2005, 2006. Wait, no, god damn it. All right, Lonely Girl. It looks like it's a song, so I'm just getting a bunch of songs called Lonely Girl. Let's see, Lonely Girl, and let me type in cult. Or was it Lonely Girl 15? Oh, yeah, you know what? I think I found it. Lonely Girl 15. Yeah, that's looking like it. Lonely Girl 15. I think I might have found it. How does she only have... Does she really only have 174,000 subscribers? I don't know why, but I feel like she would have had more if it took off that way. Because, yeah, look at this. 11 years. 11 years ago. 11 years ago. Do we get 12 years ago? Where's the 12 years? Yep, there you go. 12 years. 12 years. Crazy. Yeah, she was one of the first ones. Lonely Girl 15. By the way, Snakes, welcome back. When YouTube had more freedom, oh my god. Yeah, here we go. 12 years, 13 years ago. Yeah, she was one of the first ones. God, you know how amazing it would have been to be one of the first ones? Like 2005. I'm not even talking 2007, because technically I did start YouTubing in 2007. I did become partner, and then, in like 3 months, Google said, no, you're not. And I was like, all right, fuck you. And I created a new channel where I was able to fluctuate a little bit better. Wow. 13 years ago. You know what's funny? Her most popular video is actually not none of those videos that are, you know, that are that old. Yeah, that are part of the Lonely Girl 15 series. It's her most recent video from 3 years ago called Whatever Happened to Lonely Girl 15. 3 years ago, 2017, 2 million views. Even though she's only got 174,000 subscribers. You would think she would have more. Actually, no, that's not her most popular video. I thought that was her most popular one. Okay, never mind, it wasn't. I spoke too soon. Her most popular video is one called In the Bedroom. 78 million. 78 million. March 7th, 2008. Oh my god. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, the easier days of YouTube, the golden days of YouTube. God, so I just think about the fact how much harder, but more prestigious it was to become partner on YouTube back then. And I remember I was so illicit when I became partner. Black Spider David. It wasn't Dark Spider David. It was Black Spider David on YouTube. Because this was 2007. I was crazy about Spider-Man 3 leading up to the release of Spider-Man 3. And then I watched Spider-Man 3. I was like, yeah. But yeah, I became partner. I was just like, oh my god, finally. And I can monetize videos. I can make money off of videos. And then Google said that I was clicking my own ads without any proof. They just said, oh, there's too many clicks. Whatever. So, bottom line is that over the first, I think I started to realize this about the second or third year when teachers really started, especially in the later classes, because obviously all of those beginner classes, the teachers are just trying to get the fundamentals into you. It's finally by year 2 or 3 that teachers are going to start talking to you, not as, well, at least from my experience, teachers started to talk to me more and more like peers and colleagues rather than student to teacher. I mean, they knew that from a academic standpoint, they had to assign. The majority of them would have to assign grades. There were one or two that would still be like, "I teacher, you student," but the majority of them would know that, hey, we're at a film school. We're all trying to achieve the same goal, which is to respect the art, to cater to the art, and to love the art, because this is ultimately what we got into this business, because we love film. So from a curricular standpoint, from an academic standpoint, yes, they have to be teacher and student, but when it comes to actually collaborating and creating the projects and creating the stuff, most teachers would actually talk to students as equals. Like, they would never be like, oh no, do as I say, because I'm really like that. Most of the time, like I said, most of the time. Every so often you would get your bad apples, but most of the teachers that I had were very much like that, and that was very, very dope. And that's one of the biggest compliments that I can definitely give the college now, is that the faculty has not changed, because I still get from the teachers that they care. Whoever is teaching what, whether it be score composition, writing, directing, producing, whatever, costume designing, they love that facet of film. And once we delve into that second or third year where the material gets a little bit more meticulous and stuff like that, is where teachers will then be were very upfront with me, and they could be upfront with you, saying that, yeah, technically speaking, you don't need to be here when it comes to learning these fundamentals, because now, you might have heard this time and time again, we are at a saturation point when it comes to technology and resources with the internet, that, yeah, you can get everything and anything that you need to know about film right from here. What you're not going to get from here is actually this. Well, which at this point is kind of a good thing to make sure that we're all socially distancing. But let's take the COVID situation outside of the scenario. Being in a room with other people that love to do what you do, which is to direct, and you have another person that's a writer, and they have a script that they want to show to you as a director. That back and forth, and then talking and going through, you cannot replicate that from the internet. You can learn knowledge and stuff like that, but experience is again, as a stereotype, as a cliche as it's gonna sound, experience really does end up being the true teacher. Outside of the actual assigned, hired teachers you have on the campus. And thankfully the teachers are also kind of self-aware about this, where sometimes they'll let you be like, do your own thing. So do you need film school? Yes and no. I always tell folks is that it's a yes and no scenario, as whether you like it or not, because no, all that resourceful material when it comes to learning the basics or learning the fundamentals, you can get it offline. You can get PDFs. You can buy books off of Amazon. You can watch these master classes. Now you got Masterclass, the official brand, with the master classes from big time directors and writers: Aaron Sorkin, David Mamet, Spike Lee, I think, did one, Ron Howard, and even actors: Samuel L. Jackson, Natalie Portman. Because there's even some acting ones that I really want to watch, because even though I'm not studying to be an actor, I want to get that insight. And that's available online. So you got that, you got online film schools, you got seminars, you got so many other things that you can do, but that collaborative process cannot be replicated in any other way than to actually talk to somebody else, to actually be in that classroom and be like, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And that's where true ideas really start to grab a hold of your imagination and your spirit. As big words as those might be. Snake Saber was like, in the bedroom. Whoa, I think it was ahead of its time. Lonely Girl 15. I'll disagree. I think that was perfect for its time, because that's when we started to get an awful lot of creepypasta type of stuff, and people would often question creepypasta and be like, is it real or is it not? Now it's like, well, yeah, anybody now is able to have access to a computer and software to make things look kind of creepy and stuff like that. So but Darius, I see from your last comment there that you have to go, so thank you so much, Darius, for dropping on by. Just letting you know, Darius, thank you so much for following. I do these film student school episodes every Thursday. This is only episode 2, so I just got started, but my goal is to do it every Thursday night between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. Most of the time it's going to be 7:30. Today was a little late because I needed to eat when I got home. So I was a little late today, but my goal is to stream one of these film student school episodes every Thursday night at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. So I'm hoping to see you on the next one. Otherwise, I will be doing some gaming streams between now and then. Hope to see you then, Darius. Snicks, they are even trying to remove the trolling genre. What do you mean trolling genre? Like on YouTube? Yeah, because of advertisers, if that's what you're referring to. What's worse, being called a bitch or a YouTuber faking their girlfriend's death as it's called kid-friendly? Oh, you're talking about J-Station? I don't know. I think they're both pretty shitty. Being called a bitch by a little kid? I mean, just call him a bitch back. God, I can't believe I've resorted to this conversation in my film student school. As professional as I was trying to stay. So the networking part, the having that one-on-one type of conversation. Man, my watch irritated my skin. I don't know why. That's bummer. Yeah, that cannot be replicated with online seminars and online film schools and books. Well, the knowledge is definitely there, and I will never be one to undermine that knowledge. I mean, I have literally like 3 books over here in my box about film. One of them is from legendary filmmaker Sidney Lumet. He wrote a book, and I started reading it, and I kind of fell off because I got busy with other stuff, and work picked up a little bit more, but I've been meaning to revisit it, and if I do, I'm probably going to start it over from the very beginning instead of whatever chapter I left off. I think it was like chapter 4 or something like that. So I'm doing it myself too, and like I said, I'm watching the Ron Howard masterclass, so I'm not saying that don't watch these, go to the film school, go to the campus and actually do the school there. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that there's 2 sides to this coin. One of them is that you can get your knowledge at home, and then it's the networking facet of things It's getting a hold of names, getting a hold of contacts, something that sadly and hypocritically I have not been doing a good job at in the past 2 or 3 years because I'm very much an introvert when it comes to talking to other people because naturally, I'll tell you right now, I don't like people in a very general sense. Obviously not no one specifically. I'm just mean in a very general sense. Humans suck. And I think right now we might be seeing pockets of the reason why with this current COVID situation thing. So it's very difficult for me to actually get a spark started for me to go up to someone and be like, "Hey, are you a director? Or are you a writer? Let's get to know one another." I don't know. It just feels so unnatural for me. Um, and the sad thing is that I made myself a little mini New Year's resolution to get that going this year. And right when I started to get the hang of it in my classes, where I was starting to become more vocal to other people, because I would give my opinions about films and scripts after we read them and stuff like that. I would always do that. I did that from day one. But actually, like say for example, the class ends and we're getting up from our chairs. Instead of just often I would just walk out of the classroom. But then it was this past quarter where I would finally be like, I would think about something that was talked about in class with someone's script. That someone, I would go up to them and be like, "Hey, I like your script," like that. I barely started doing that this year, and right when it started, this COVID-19 thing hit, and now perfect timing, just perfect, meticulous, impeccable timing. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the there we go. Just trying to get the frame rate to get back to normal there on my webcam. Because trolling is just bringing in video games, and the little kids call them with swear words. I don't know, just because that used to be a form. My argument for that, Snicks, is that the comedy back then was literally a decade ago. Now that that form of comedy is just seen now as like, oh, you're being a bully, you're being a cyberbully. It's like, okay, there's certain things where, yeah, it's for sure cyberbullying, and then there's others where it's like, okay, learn to take a joke. You want to know the new one? I never thought I would see this day, and it's related to film to an extent. If you go on Twitter, I don't think you have a Twitter, Snicks, but I do. I went on Twitter, and one of the trending topics is Tropic Thunder, which is one of my favorite films of the past decade. No. It came out in 2008, so I would probably say that's fuck it. It's one of my favorite films. You do have Twitter? Okay, so Tropic Thunder was trending, and I was like, oh, are they making a sequel? Or, some kind of... Now with quarantine, is it like a live watch party with Ben Stiller? Maybe Robert Downey Jr., that'd be dope. Sadly, no. Tropic Thunder was trending because woke Gen Z dipshits were trying to cancel Robert Downey Jr. for doing blackface in that film. Yeah. People took screenshots of people sending out tweets trying to cancel Robert Downey Jr., trying to cancel the movie because, oh my God, nobody's talking about the fact that he did blackface. Thankfully, these screenshots I saw in retweets from people that beat me to the punch, where they said these people who are protesting against the blackface done in Tropic Thunder are 100% have not seen the movie. How much you want to bet they have not seen the movie? Because if you have seen the movie, you know why he does that. There's a reasoning, which is why you never heard of it. Because everyone knew what they were trying to do with it. I'm not going to get into it. That's not what this episode's about. What this episode is about whether or not you need film school is right for you. So that you can get with people who know what context is. So that you can develop your contacts. Because one thing, again, this is also another big cliche that you might hear from time to time, but it doesn't make it any less true, is that whoever you are contacting now, whoever you're developing relationships with right now, whether it be from director to writer, writer to writer, etc., actor to producer, actor to potential agent. That's the key word right there, potential. Whoever you're talking to right now could be your producer in 10 years saying, hey, I like that script you wrote. I'm actually already started producing some stuff. I can talk to some people. I can call up some people. Just like this virus, just like this coronavirus spreads in that nature, so do ideas. And that's how you can start creating your relationships so that later on when you do come up with that great script, hey, that buddy of yours or that acquaintance, that colleague of yours, that contact of yours from those early days of film school is now a full-on producer. Hit him or her up and be like, hey, I got this script. You want to read it? Sure. PDF it over to my email. Boom. And things get started. Do not undermine that. Do not underestimate and just flat out ignore that aspect of film school like I sadly did. Do not repeat my mistake, because that was my biggest mistake, is not networking enough like I should have. And now I'm kind of paying the price for it because I don't have the strongest form of contacts when it comes to people in the industry. There's a couple of people I have added on Facebook that I could reach out to, but obviously right now with COVID, it's like, what's the point? I mean, I could write and I could send stuff over to. Actually, I have somebody on my Facebook who is a producer who can maybe start talking to people, but no actual like movement. No wheels are actually going to turn because of what's going on. But I think when it really, and I'm about to get a little deep here, where it gets a little truly depressing and emotional is when there's some people I have added on my Instagram from film school, and ever so often they post stories or Instagram or pictures or videos on their Instagram of them hanging out with people that I know go to the same film school as I do, and they created their own team. They created their own group, and they're shooting. The one that gets me every time is whenever somebody I have added on my Facebook is, on my Instagram, is shooting something with that group, and they're clearly having fun. They're getting setups done. They're getting lighting done. They're in between takes. They're in costume, but with the behind the scenes mentality of shooting the video on their Instagram, they're having fun, and they're also being passionate about the stuff they love. And I get kind of emotional and sad because I'm like, right now I don't have that. So definitely don't overlook that aspect of film. The networking, the contacting, and then also the equipment, because more often than not, it's definitely cheaper to rent instead of owning your own fancy camera. Film schools, since you're paying for tuition, they're often gonna let you borrow the stuff automatically. That's another big thing. All right, Snakes. See ya. Take care. And to answer your question, yes, I don't know why this got imprinted into my brain, but I actually do know how to tie a tie. Not a bow tie. Bow tie I'm still struggling with, but a regular tie like this, yeah. I don't know why. I remembered it. I know how to do it, and it actually looks neat. Like it doesn't look like a clip-on. So yeah, those are the big three: contacts, networking, developing relationships. I guess it's more like 4, and the equipment, because all of those, what I'm using right now for lighting is just some desk lamps and a clamp lamp over here for my red backdrop light. Once you get into film school, you'll have, whether it be, obviously the nature of the school itself, the budget of the school dictates sometimes the equipment that they have. And be patient. As annoying as it's going to be patient with those restrictions they might set on you with the equipment, because just like any school, there's going to be times where you could check the stuff out. There's going to be restrictions. There's going to be certain things you can and cannot do with the equipment, whether it be with the lighting, the camera, the sound, the boom mic, the gels, the stuff that you could put over the lights, certain effects, certain props, etc. There's always going to be restrictions and limitations that you're going to have to go through, and they're going to be growing pains. The reason why I call them growing pains is because it's here where the imagination needs to take fruit, which is why I would often have my scripts be influenced by the actual stuff that I was given access to. And to be honest, I kind of want that to be a topic of its own. But the biggest the two biggest things to truly answer the question, do you need film school, is the equipment you get provided with. If you can't provide your own equipment and you don't have a place, a designated place to go rent it from, or a friend that already owns it that you could borrow from and make sure that they're insured, then film school, under those certain regulations and restrictions, they're going to let you borrow the stuff to get you started. And then, of course, like I said, you got your networking. Those are the two biggest things that getting a online class or a master class or an online seminar of some kind or a book is not going to be able to replicate. And you really need to pay attention to that. And only you can answer those questions. For me, over the course of time, I learned those answers. From the very beginning, I wanted to go to film school, but I don't think I knew if I needed film school. Now I truly do think I need it, but not for the reason that I wanted it, if that makes any sense. Because now I recognize where everything has its place, whether it be the knowledge or the experience. Knowledge, experience. And trust me, right now with the current situation of the virus, the experience is slightly hurting, but I'm hoping to be able to channel that into a different form factor, at least for the time being. Whew. All right, so that was a much longer episode than that I was truly expecting. I was actually, honestly, only hoping to go for an hour, but we did get some people in the chat discussing some relevant topics, pertaining to film school and the episode as a whole. So I really want to thank Snick Sabers for dropping on by, Darius Stone for I guess being my guest for episode 2 to kind of lend a little bit of insight into something that, because some of the things that he asked on chat were actually rather relevant to what I was talking about here with film school. In fact, a couple of points, I think if I play it back, there were certain things that he asked that were almost like little connection points or segues to other things that I was definitely going to cover in this episode when it came to whether or not you would need film school. So I want to give a big ups to him, Darius Stone, and also for becoming a member of the Dark Spider Web. And I don't know, somebody else in here was trolling, so I don't know what happened with that person, but we'll go ahead and let sleeping dogs lie on that one. Otherwise, if you're watching this on playback, whether it be here on Twitch or later on YouTube as a separate upload, thank you so much for reaching the end of episode 2. Much appreciated. I stream Film Student School every Thursday night at 7:30. Today's episode was a little bit on the late side because I had to take care of dinner first before, otherwise I just would have been dead on camera. So I knew I needed to get some good old-fashioned sustenance. So I hope to see you guys on the next Film Student School episode 3, where I'll be talking about, I almost forgot the topic here. Actually, I'm going to be stemming off of one of my points tackled here in this episode, The Social Network. Not the movie, as much as I love it, the concept of how it is to go about knowing who the people are, from teacher to faculty member to student to graduate to teacher assistant, and what kind of value they can offer you as either a first-time student, junior, a sophomore, junior, or now like I am, a senior, and how you can still learn even when you're right about to graduate or walk, should that happen, considering all things considered. That's going to be on episode 3. Otherwise, take care, guys. Thank you so much for dropping on by. You can hit me up on Twitter and on Instagram at DarkSpiderDavid, all one word, no caps. It's to keep in touch with me. I tweet as often as I can with either little mini reviews on movies and games that I'm playing at the moment, and kind of give you guys some insight on what's going on in my life, as well as also what's going to be happening here on the Twitch channel, whether it be updates with upcoming streams or things that are coming to the channel, or whenever it is that I go live, I put out a tweet to kind of let people know. Also on Instagram, since I am aspiring to be a filmmaker from time to time, I like to take photos and videos, post them up on my Instagram, and kind of for your viewing pleasure. So check me out over on Twitter and on Instagram at DarkSpiderDavid, all one word, no caps, once more. Follow the Twitch channel if you're watching this on Twitch for the next stream, whether it be next week's episode of Film Student School or any of my gaming streams. I do like to play video games, obviously, here on the Twitch channel, from Nintendo Switch to PlayStation. I got some games coming out, whether it be with more Mario Maker Madness, with the new inclusion of Worlds with its latest update, as well as upcoming games that are scheduled for 2020, whether it be Trials of Mana. That's if I decide to play that on stream. And then, of course, with the much talked about and recently redated Last of Us Part 2. Very stoked for that one. Otherwise, that does it for me tonight. Thank you guys once more, and I'll catch you guys on the next Film Student School. Take care, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.